Yotam Ottolenghi has been a firm favourite of mine since the release of his first book with Sammy Tamimi back in 2008. A chef that embraces olive oil, lemon juice, spices, herbs in abundance, and gives vegetables and grains, legumes, hero status. It is my great pleasure to introduce Yotam Ottolenghi.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'm blushing.
Yes, you're blushing?
Yeah, I'm blushing. I'm blushing.
Surely you've had that run down a bit.
Yeah, no.
Seeing you've been on the road for 3 weeks, yeah?
3 weeks, 2 weeks in the States and a week in Australia.
A week in Australia.
Yeah, well, just about.
Very special week in Australia, I must say.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if I can have anything to do with it. Well, I do feel like I know you already because we have been, Twitter friends?
Twitter friends. No, I have to say just one thing before we get started is that it's quite reciprocal because I have all of Karen's books, and I'm not just saying that; it is true.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been. I've got a group of friends who are like Karen admirers, and we do Karen Martini dinner parties, and I'm not making it up. It's absolutely true. Yeah. And she's not extremely well known in England, but every time someone asks me, so what do you cookbook do you cook from? I mention her books. They're fantastic.
Oh, that is so. I'm so flattered. Well, I have been doing a little bit of research into you.
Good.
Just to do this today, and I'm really interested in your. Is it German and Italian ancestry, and I figure that's pretty diverse, and I wondered who did the cooking at home when you were, young. Like, what happened? What did you eat?
I was really lucky, I think, when I was growing up because I had the best of all worlds. My parents, my mom's from a German background, my dad's from Italian background, and we had like seriously good Italian food. Polenta and pasta and all sorts of...
So that was your dad cooking?
That was my dad cooking.
Ah.
And my mom was cooked a bit of German food, but actually she was more like an international cook, and she cooked a little bit of everything. I remember she had the Joy of Cooking, a classic American cookbook, and she made a beef rendang in Israel.
Beef rendang.
Yeah, beef rendang in Israel in the 1970s. I mean, that is kind of unheard of. So it was very very adventurous. My parents were foodies before the word was invented. So I joined fantastic food, and also. Jerusalem is such an evocative place for food, with the markets, with the vegetables, with everything that's going on. So I had that kind of European base at home, but outside it was like, I could have been in Beirut or in Damascus or anywhere else in the Middle East with all...
And what were your favourite snacks then outside of the home in Jerusalem?
Well, this is like, it was difficult, but we had these falafel was what we ate all the time, every day. And the funny thing is when Sammy was born in East Jerusalem, he's Muslim, and I was born in West Jerusalem as a Jewish boy, and we never met until we were met in London in the late 1990s. But when we looked back and started working on the book Jerusalem, we started to compare experiences because essentially we had exactly the same childhood, but on two sides of the fence. And when we talk, we have this kind of seminal falafel experience where we both finished school. In Israel, you finish school quite early. You start early and you finish early, like around 7:30, and you finish around 1. So on the way back from home from school, you need to go home to have your lunch, but there's all these falafel stands on the way.
You did
so we were getting falafels, and then the problem is it's really hard to conceal it from your mom because the tahini goes all over the shirt. And so we would both come home, tahini-soaked shirt, an angry mother, and no appetite. And that is kind of the seminal kind of...
And you'd be like, I ran into the truck.
And it was funny, we really had the same experience. And it's kind of really nice to see that, although it's like completely separate, but we really share the same experiences. Yeah.
Same thing. Naughty.
Same thing. Naughty.
Naughty. So I figure even though you had a food obsession, you seemed destined for an academic career, but then you decided to become a chef.
Yeah. No, I didn't decide to become a chef. Or you decided
to dabble?
I tried to... look, I come from a very middle-class Jewish family, so there was an expectation, right? There always is. And
there
always is. So cook is not top of the agenda of professions
Where would that be about down here?
that figure there. So when I told my parents that I was ditching my promising academic career in favor of a dodgy life in basements and kitchens in London,
yeah.
They were a little bit less than excited about it.
I bet they were. And that was fine, and they were like, sure, go ahead, train, see how... They probably thought it would wear off.
Yeah, they thought it was a phase.
Yeah.
Like...
My mum thought it was a phase,
A phase,
too.
yeah, you go through phases, and it was fine. I was 29, I still had a little bit of time. So they thought it was a phase. And I also thought it might be a phase, because I wasn't quite sure. It's not like I decided to become a chef and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Because I was scared. I didn't know how I'm going to do and whether I'm going to enjoy it or not. So I just kind of started working in kitchens. I took a few courses in London, of all places, and just started working in kitchens, and I loved it. I felt very inspired.
Was it? I mean, when you go and you're learning, you do a course, and then you end up in a kitchen. There's a big gap between what happens in a course and what happens in a kitchen. I mean, it's an abrasive, sharp, intense, busy. Was that a shock to the system? Were you like,
completely.
I love the adrenaline?
No, I didn't love any of it, no.
I love the adrenaline.
No, I still don't love the adrenaline. No, I really wanted to become a chef, so I went to this restaurant, and I was studying in the day. In the evening, I went to this restaurant. And I thought I had to work in a Michelin star restaurant, right? Because that's...
We all do.
We all do. So we all think we do.
Yeah.
And then so the chef told me, well, you've got no experience. Go help the pastry chef whip up the egg whites during service, because she's got lots, which was very French.
At least she didn't ask, or he asked you to get the souffle pump.
Souffle pump.
Doesn't exist.
That's the taking the mickey, right? Yeah,
yes.
okay, yeah. That was the equivalent.
So pastry?
So yeah, he told me to whip up the egg whites, and we weren't allowed to use a machine. So stupid. Yeah, because it was a French restaurant.
Were you good at that?
Yeah. Well, I'm good now. So I had to whip up her egg whites. And then she would fold it, because I didn't know how to fold it yet.
It was a she. I was
assuming.
It
was pastry chef. She was a she. Yeah, they mostly are. So then I said, well, then I actually really liked it, and then I moved on, and I stayed in pastry for most of my most of the years before I opened the business, and I learned to really absolutely love pastry.
It's quite a precise art, patisserie.
Yeah.
Yet now your food seems so instinctive and organic and free. It's like there's two sides of the brain going on there.
Well, that's true, the way I conceive it, but then afterwards when I write down the recipe, I'm very precise.
That's why they work, yeah?
Yeah. That's why yours work. But you told me you're not precise.
Well, I have to be when I'm writing, but I get precise by writing a recipe, cooking inspirationally, and then having to document it, and then I make sure that those recipes are cooked at least 2 or 3 times before they hit a book or are printed.
2 or 3 times.
I'd hope
minimum.
So. Yes, minimum.
Minimum.
Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. I think 4 successful businesses, long-running newspaper column, a couple of TV series, massively successful books. Does this surprise you, the impact that you've had on all of us?
Yeah, of course. I'm very surprised. I'm always surprised because I never envisage it. You don't really envisage these things; they just happen to you. I'm surprised every day, and I'm here. I've been in Australia for less than a week, and I've been receiving this extremely warm welcome. Like I go to radio interviews and TV interviews, and I still can't believe actually. Why is this happening? Why am I here? What have I got to say? This is serious. It's not false modesty. It kind of also happens all of a sudden, and I'm not really prepared for it. But it seems like that's what people think. So I'm kind of immersing myself in it. Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, how much has London changed since you've been living there?
A lot.
Do you think a lot?
Yeah, I think what happened, and it probably happened here, but less. Because there was less ground to cover, really, in terms of food, is that it started from in London. It started from a very low, benchmark. Like food was really atrocious, and
So I haven't been I have to admit this, I haven't been for 10 years.
Yeah,
so
it's much
more.
better now, but already 10 years ago things were starting to move. But I think from 20 or 30 years ago it was really bad, and everybody knows it. And London is kind of the butt of all jokes, you know. So it's really good to start so low, because then
the only way is up.
Yeah, the only way is up. And also people really appreciate it, because you know there's not this kind of, other countries have this kind of chauvinism about their food, but the Brits, they don't have that. So you can really do whatever you like, and they're going to love it.
I think he's saying he's just getting away with it and did something different. I mean, well, what inspires you about London at the moment? What's going on there? What's good?
I think London is amazing, really. I'm not just saying it. I think it's just the right balance between the old world and the new world. Like we've got all these French chefs and Italian chefs cooking in London, bringing all these kind of very solid traditions that we all love and hate at the same time, because they're very restrictive on the one hand, but they kind of pave the road. You know, like we all learn how to do we have the names for things and the basics. But on the other hand, it's also got all these immigrants and people that are trying new things, and the Brits are good at adopting other people's food cultures and really embracing them. So we've got, I really think for you know, for a little tiny rainy island, we're doing pretty well.
Pretty well. And is it
as opposed to your big sunny island?
Is it just as much about the food, I mean, and the way the restaurants look and the whole feel of their themes going on at the moment? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. We've got really good things going on at the base level, you know, eateries and food trucks and all that kind of, you know, things that people all around the Western world are getting excited about.
Food buses in London.
Food buses, double-deckers.
Yeah.
We've got all that, but we also have like the more kind of serious restaurants, and it seems to be becoming a little bit more like Australia in the sense that it's a bit more democratic. Like you don't have that, you don't need to spend so much to have a good meal. You've got all the kind of the noodle bars and stuff. It seems like you can be serious about food without it being expensive.
Having to empty your wallet.
Yeah, like...
Because that's how it used to be in London. It'd either be, you know, way back, it'd be, what, eggs and chips, and then, or up here.
Yeah,
So
I think it
close the gap.
Yeah, the gap.
I think you probably had a lot to do with that, I reckon.
If you say so.
Listen, I'm pretty envious of your TV shows, not just the success of them. Well, okay, a little bit. More the experiences you had. I mean, we couldn't help. Yotam and I are downstairs in the green room going, oh, we can't talk about that now, I want to do it on stage. Can't talk about that either. But this is one that I am, you know, it's just a total inspiration and
yeah, you
amazing.
should be jealous.
I am jealous. So jealous.
No, because I had a great time.
Oh, you did.
And television.
I could tell.
No, because I did a bit of television in the studio, and it's a torture. And I had like the best summers, 2 summers in a row. The first one was not so much fun because I was really nervous. I've never done TV before. I did my first Mediterranean series, and every recipe, you could tell, yeah. Every recipe sequence was like I was sweating and losing my my lines and all that. But the second series in the islands, I just had the best time in the world because I just went. That's why you're jealous. Yes,
yeah. I am.
So I would just go to the top of a mountain. There was this, a guy making ricotta, and it would take a while to get there and a while to get back. So that's like half a day.
Lucky the ricotta's quick.
Ricotta's quick. And that's like half a day of doing absolutely nothing in the most beautiful scenery. I mean, the cooking sequences are short, and you're there and you look at the things and you get to kind of milk the goats and
that's like, that's right, I'm on TV. Sorry, hello.
It felt almost decadent to have so much fun and get paid for it.
And to just the exchange with the locals and having, as Yotam was telling me earlier, I have the opportunity to wander in and have a little look around and what's this and sniff that and taste that, and they would be so open and giving of what they do and quite proud.
Yeah, people open up to you when it comes to food. It's funny because when I did my first program, it was in Jerusalem.
Such a personal thing.
Yeah, and people in Jerusalem, it's very difficult because of the political situation. It's quite people are less keen to talk about themselves. So the food is really the way to open up. You go to someone and say, so what is it? What's going on there? And they go, oh, that's the recipe that my grandmother used to cook. And you immediately, all the barriers come down and you can talk. You get they're proud. They let you taste. You go like, wow, that's amazing. And it comes from a chef. So, you know, because normally I like to meet like home cooks because they've got the best secrets, but they don't have the egos. So you get those kind of great secrets without thinking. You know, they're proud to give them, and we always
don't give away their secrets.
So, first of all, they don't have great ideas anyway. They don't have brilliant ideas, and because all the secrets are really like go down the and chefs like to steal other people's recipes. No, I mean you always look for other people's recipes. No.
Well, I read and I eat.
Yeah, we like to absorb. Yeah,
I think he's saying something there. I don't know. No, but it is. It's a constant inspiration. If you look beside my bed, there's a few novels. Okay, well, I think my publisher's in the there's a few novels, but there's also 4 or 5 cookbooks, and I will read a book.
Yeah.
Cookbook. To go to bed to.
Because you get inspired constantly. Yeah, I do the same. I'm sure there's a few people in the audience that do that.
You touched on, getting your grandmother's secret. You were in Tunisia, and my father was born in Tunis, and he made 2 things for me growing up, was bolognese, did a mean bolognese sauce, which is not Tunisian, but brick à la neuf. And there was that sequence there, and it almost brought a tear to my eye watching you, it's a very thin brick pastry, literally in the pan, and you're with the guy in the big pan, and you basically crack the egg in, fold it up, fry it off, maybe throw in you can put capers or tuna or anything inside. Harissa and I took it to my grandmother, and I showed her, and she was like, oh my, that's so hard. Like really? It really moving.
When was she there last?
Well, she's 95 now, so she hasn't travelled for quite a while, but it really took her back, and it was those memories that you sort of uncover, and it was a beautiful thing. Sorry, personal moment.
No, that's good. I have to say that Tunisia, of all places, was the most remarkable, because I think it's the place that I discovered the most, because it was the least familiar to me. You know, Tunisian food is not something everybody knows. I mean, harissa, but otherwise it's kind of it's a best kept secret, and you really get. It's also not commercial. Like Morocco is quite commercial. There's lots of tourists, but in Tunisia, it's one of these countries that you travel and you really feel like you're the first to discover.
Something that no one,
certain things
except the Tunisians.
And and it's just so inspiring.
I mean, there was another I saw recently, because I thought I'd better catch up on something that's gone to air recently. And you were pulling in on a cray boat out in Sardinia, and you're pulling it in, and you can see, you're going, I'm getting sick of this, you know. Pulling, how long is this rope? You know, he said 1 kilometre. You got 2 lobsters.
I got 2 lobsters. You know how long I spent on that boat?
I don't know how long.
5-6 hours.
Oh no, for 2 lobsters?
Yeah, for 2 lobsters. And they were telling me that, you know, it's full of lobsters. So I said, okay, let's go and get those lobsters.
But the way you cook those lobsters.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so going to try that. Yeah. Literally, the fishermen got off, broke up sticks in the rocks, lit a fire, and cooked the lobster or the crayfish in its shell.
Yeah, it goes in the shell into the fire.
Into the fire.
And it is so sweet
and smoky. I could imagine. Like
and then I mix it with fennel and grapes.
I went outside and broke up a few chairs and went down the street. No, but it was very inspirational.
It was a fun day.
It was delicious. Okay, we should get on to the really big issues.
All right. You're going to ask me about hummus.
Hummus.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that it?
He knew. You devote quite a bit of energy to it.
Yeah. Well,
and you're a chickpea pedant, which I needed to work out what that meant, but I know now. What are we all doing wrong? Why is it so important?
No, I'm sure you're doing it all right.
I am. I was inspired by your recipe. I took the oil out.
Yeah, well, that's good. So the hummus has just become more and more controversial with time. So when Sami and I wrote the Jerusalem book, we just had to deal with Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
Oh my
You know,
God.
that
took up the first chapter.
That's a tiny thing compared to what started happening recently. So we had this idea that we need to show people how complicated hummus is, and you know, the Palestinians claim it's theirs, the Jews claim it's theirs, and they have these big fights, and where is the best hummus, whether it's the Jewish hummus or the Muslim hummus. So we were covering all that, and then all of a sudden I watched TV in England the other day, and a national icon chef puts yogurt in her hummus. I mean, not only that, she uses tinned chickpeas. So she takes tinned chickpeas.
That wasn't me.
And she throws it into the food processor, and she adds yogurt.
Yogurt?
Yeah, yogurt. And olive oil, and no tahini.
All wrong.
And
wrong.
calls it a hummus. So I got, as you can imagine, just a little. And I said in an interview that I had, similar to this actually, in Cheltenham Literary Festival. You know, they don't have scandals in literary festivals. So, so that was the one. So I said, this woman, I'm not going to mention her name.
I want to know who the woman is.
Used yogurt and tinned chickpeas in her hummus, and I find that. I was actually kidding, but I was. So the next day there was a headline in the Daily Mail: Ottolenghi attacks of XYZ over hummus.
Do you throw like a...
Heston Blumenthal and Nigella Lawson side with XYZ. And so...
If I had have seen it, I would have sided with you, okay?
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah, that was it. No, but they didn't side with her. They just went to their old recipes.
And they looked
and
it
they
up
had
and
some olive oil, and they go
too.
like, oh, she's got olive oil, so she sides with. So, but that actually tells more about the Daily Mail than about hummus, right? Or British journalism in general. But so I got into a lot of trouble for that. And that's why I don't mention the name now, but you can all Google it when you go home. And
they're doing it right now, but I can see.
And so that's why I'm being asked a lot about hummus. So I wrote a little piece in our website explaining my... So hummus, just to make a long story short, it's chickpeas and tahini, essentially. If you ask any Lebanese, any Syrian, any Palestinian, and any Israeli, they would agree on that.
So what's the...
And there's some lemon juice, a bit of garlic, and maybe cumin, but that's already pushing the envelope quite a bit. And that's it. And then it's all about the balance.
The balance.
Yeah, how much lemon juice, how much tahini to chickpeas. If you want it quite firm, you add more tahini. If you want it runnier, you add more chickpeas and water.
And the water from the cooking
and the water
from
the cooking of the chickpeas.
Yeah,
that is very important. Yeah, and cold water if you want it creamy.
Cold water makes it fluffy at the
end.
Yeah,
you kind of whip it a bit like you do when you make a cake with the water. So that's that was the hummus debacle.
Whew, I'm glad I got that topic over and done with. I want to ask you, you've published so many recipes, but which dishes do you find yourself going back to cooking, or is that impossible because you can't follow your own recipes?
No, I do actually follow my own recipes. I find it easier to follow my own recipes because somehow if it's on paper and I've tried it, I know it works, and I'm, as I said to you, I'm quite pedantic. So I like to go back to an old recipe, open the book, I checked it, I tested it, it works. Sometimes I experiment at home too, but normally...
Or he cooks it and it doesn't work, even worse.
So I go to Majadra, rice and lentils and fried onion.
Beautiful.
Which is, it sounds really kind of, it sounds not as delicious as it actually is because the ingredients don't tell the story. You know, that's kind of, because it's got a few sweet spices. You don't have to, but I do. And then you put some full-fat yogurt, and it's kind of, it just makes complete sense when you have it. You probably make it too.
Delicious. Yeah, and I'm inspired by one of your recipes and a dish that good friends of mine brought over, which she has Jewish heritage, with chicken. The thighs, and you did it with barberries, I did it with currants, and the cardamom and cinnamon. And
so delicious.
And the onions, yeah, delicious, delicious.
I mean, everything benefits from fried onion. You can, I mean...
Anything.
Anything, anything.
Your new book, Plenty More, is organised by the cooking method. I suppose, is that to put a big emphasis on the cooking technique? Or...
No, I thought it would be, what I was thinking, because Plenty was, for me, was kind of showcasing vegetables, and you know, people are scared of certain vegetables, and they think, oh, this turnip is not delicious, or kohlrabi is not delicious, or cauliflower is not that exciting.
So yeah. Without white sauce.
Yeah, and I actually think they're really exciting, all these vegetables. It just depends what you do with them. And when you go to the Middle East, you get a lot of like pickled turnips with beetroot water, and you know, all these wonderful things. And there's lots of ways to make these vegetables really exciting. I just thought, okay, so Plenty was all about like showcasing the vegetables, and I thought, let's just go back to basics and show how much you can do by using different techniques. Yeah, so the method, actually, you can get so much from a cauliflower just by using different methods, you know, slow cooking, braising, or grating raw.
Yeah, it's also about the way you cut it or present it.
Yeah, exactly.
So chopping something differently or slicing it thinly
makes a whole lot of difference.
And
it's so nice that you have this vegetable that you cooked with for so many years, and then you kind of rediscover it by actually just cooking it differently.
Yeah.
Like everybody, this craze started a few years ago with the whole cauliflower head. You've seen it now you see it in quite a few restaurants, but it was really novel at the beginning, where you take a whole cauliflower and you simmer it for a few minutes, but you don't have to. And then you put lots of butter and oil and salt on it, and you stick it in the oven for an hour and a half or two. And you get this kind of intensity of flavor. And you always knew that cauliflower had flavor, but all of a sudden it's kind of
not that much.
Yeah, not that much. So it's so nice. So this is what I was trying to do with Plenty More, just to show people that, you know, in a sense, you can take new ingredients, but actually you can take old ingredients and rediscover them with all these new techniques or different techniques.
I did read one of your columns in The Guardian where you did that with cabbage.
With cabbage, yeah.
You cooked it 3 hours.
Yeah, so with miso and white wine and maybe a bit of stock, I think.
Yeah.
And just cooking it and cooking it and cooking it. And like cabbage, again, that's kind of a vegetable we all think we know, but it absorbs so much flavor, more than any other vegetable, I think. It just takes on. Yeah, it really transforms. So so I think this is really exciting, because it just actually you can do more with vegetables than you can do with meat.
I think that your books have a lot of people have. Well, I'm making a general comment here, but I think there are a few people I know, friends of mine, who have purchased your book and haven't realised it's a vegetarian-based book, or those two.
Yeah.
Not all of them, by the way. And then rediscovered something, a vegetable that they dislike a lot, just because you've transformed the cooking method, or and they've fallen in love with something for the first time, and they've been eating it or not eating it all their life. And
I call it the Brussels sprout syndrome.
Yeah, you've got to roast them.
Yeah, you got to roast them. I think most people know now, right?
I think.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope
you got to roast them. You don't boil them,
no.
right? Or char grill them, or
you can char grill it. Yeah. You can parboil them apparently, and then fry them. I do like to score the bottom, toss them in a fair amount. Things need oil, people.
Yeah, things need oil. And oil is healthy again.
Yes.
Fat is healthy again. So you can really now let go. And add lots of oil.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Good fats.
Yeah, good fats, bad fats, they're all good.
Let's not start. Bad fats are good too, in small. It's all in moderation.
Yeah.
I think you've definitely blown that, the myth, or busted the myth of that vegetarian idea of food. And I mean, because in the past it has been, the aesthetics of it haven't really been that appetizing.
No,
I expected you to be here in knee-high socks and
Birkenstocks. Yeah, I left them.
They're cool now, though.
Yeah, I left them at home.
You left them at home
with my grey mung beans.
And brown everything else.
Yeah.
And mushy. But I mean, delicious meals are delicious, meat or no meat. But I think the aesthetics are pretty important, and I can see that in your food too. How much do you place emphasis on that, or are you just a wild but composed cook that ends up with something quite beautiful?
No, I think a lot about what things look like. In a sense, I know it sounds very technical and terrible, but I'm a food retailer. I sell food to the general public in the delis. So I know how important it is for food to look great. Like in a restaurant, when you order food, you read the menu. If something comes that doesn't look amazing, you're still going to eat it, and if the flavors are right, you're going to enjoy it. But in a deli, everything needs to look really, really good, because otherwise they don't buy it. So because of years of kind of displaying the food,
doesn't it?
Like, yeah, there were years of displaying the food. Working on this particular display, that we have those platters.
You can't be all up front and nothing out the back. Like the flavor has to deliver.
Yeah, no, completely, completely. But I do think a lot about what it looks like. And you do too, because when I look at your books, it's exactly the same. But I think it's very hard to sell to people something that doesn't look good when it's there.
But I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's a chef out there that are divided. Like, oh, it doesn't look quite good enough. Let's just sprinkle something red on top. I think that you're putting things there for a purpose and a reason.
Yeah, no, it's not about sprinkling this or sprinkling that. It's about, like, for instance, when I when I put the things together on a plate for a book.
And do you style yourself?
I style, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's not about
food
me,
stylist.
It's about him.
No, I can't stand that anyone would style my food, because putting it on the plate is part of the creation, really. I wouldn't let anyone else put it on the plate for me.
Apart from anything else, I cannot write down all of those instructions, and you don't actually know how. So you know how you're going to finish each dish?
Well, no, because I've cooked it. No, but when I put it in the book, yes. No, but seriously, it's just about, we know how we want it to look, and the stylist has a different vision. I know exactly what I want it to look like, and that's how I put it on the plate. And I put it on the plate the way I want to serve it at the table. I don't want it to look different at the book and on the table. I would do it exactly the same, and that's why I think it looks good, because. And
it's a good thing, because I mean, so many. I don't know if the feedback you get, but you got to have a recipe, and they want a photo. They want an image. Yeah. Because they want to be able to style it and dress it up or finish it exactly the same way.
And I can never decide at what stage I'm going to shoot the recipe, whether it's going to be in the prep stage, in the pot, on the table. I leave it. I shoot it, or I don't shoot, but the photographer does at various stages, and then we can decide what looks the best.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that.
You do the same.
Yeah, same. It's not about me, though.
We're very twin spirits.
Okay, look, we've got a couple of minutes here. I've got a couple of quick ones for you. Questions?
I'm ready.
You've got long. You've got 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe.
For all the questions?
Yeah, okay. 2, 4, 4, yeah, a few.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Ready.
What ingredient have you just discovered that you can't believe you've never known about?
Never known. Kashk, fermented yogurt, powdered, or you're familiar with that. Yeah, I've only discovered it about 2 years ago. So that's new for me.
That's new?
Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we will talk about that. Do you pick your holiday destinations based on a cuisine?
Definitely.
Definitely. I knew the answer to that one. Yes.
Yeah, I would not mention the countries I don't go to due to their cuisine.
Last destination?
That I visited?
That you holidayed?
Holiday was in Greece.
Ah, beautiful. What kitchen or pantry items do you have to travel with, if you do?
I have to travel.
You might think that's a weird question.
I have to travel.
We all travel with things.
Apart from the knife, because I hate blunt knives. No, I don't have a knife fetish, but I need a sharp knife. It could be any knife. Is the garlic crush and this yellow lemon squeezer.
The yellow lemon squeezer? What's wrong with the hand?
The hand, you get the pips in. You see, this is the difference.
Yeah, different?
Yeah.
A yellow, it weighs too much. No.
The yellow is perfect.
Would you ever buy hummus from a supermarket?
Yes.
Desperate?
No, I buy hummus from a supermarket because it's better than coleslaw. So if you need if you need a tub in the fridge of something, which we all do, then I'd rather have hummus. Although it's not good hummus.
You heard it here first, people.
Yeah. But you make comkompromises in life.
Yeah,
don't
no,
you?
I do buy it too. We're all busy and time.
Yeah.
What's the best thing you've best thing you've eaten recently?
Mapo tofu at Mr. Wong in Sydney last night or the night before. I don't remember now. The mapo tofu is a Chinese dish of tofu and minced pork, and it's just sensational. And Szechuan, yeah.
Delicious.
And they make it at Mr. Wong in Sydney. They make their own tofu. They set it at the bottom of the plate, and then they put this thing on. It's just heavenly.
Delicious.
Yeah, really blows your mind away.
What's your go-to snack or quick fix?
I think it's not so. It's my noodles, my quick udon noodles.
Yep.
With a kettle from the with some boiling water
on top. Okay.
Yeah.
Your favorite comfort dish?
Favorite comfort dish would have to be majadra. We mentioned it already, but it's just so good.
Hangover cure.
Hangover cure. Wow, that's a tough one. I think it would have to be pancakes.
Sweet.
Pancakes, sweet, yeah.
And sometimes this annoys me when I get up, because I'm normally in that seat, yeah?
Yeah.
Your last supper.
Yeah, it's really annoying question.
Told you.
No, I find it quite easy because I have like everybody. It's the same answer as to my earliest food memory, and I think it's not by chance because it's that kind of iconic dish that kind of stays with you. My grandmother, my Italian grandmother, used to make semolina gnocchi. Which is gnocchi alla romana, which is just essentially it's semolina porridge with lots of parmesan and butter folded through and then set and grilled with cheese on top. And I don't think there's anything on the face of this planet that is more, maybe that mapo tofu, but it's like essentially it's very similar. It's kind of so soft and so creamy that
it's just like a big warm cuddle.
Yeah, it's a massive warm cuddle.
It's good. Well. That's the end of my quick questions.
That's good.
At this point. It's just been absolutely wonderful chatting with you. It's been, and I can't believe the time has passed so quickly. But thank you very much for sharing with us, Yotam, and I'm sure you're going to be popping outside to
I'm going to go sign some books for you guys.
So congratulations on plenty more, and it's been wonderful.
Thank you.